allow me to introduce our guest today. And as I had said, life will want to challenge you. And I had said that no one really determines when your end comes. The only person who determines that end is you. And even when you determine it, guess what? God always has a sense of humor. He always tells you it's not it, you end. And so today we are having an incredible guest who's going to be sharing his story with us. And I just want you to focus, pay attention, and above all, learn from his story, be inspired by his story, and, just get out there and do that which God has called you to do. And when everybody tells you no, tell them, no. I believe that this can happen, that I can do this. So let's do this. And so allow me to introduce to us Brian Komen. Brian, how are you today?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm great. It's great to see you. It's been how many years? When did I last see you?
2019.
2019.
That's 4 years now. Yeah.
4 years now. Oh my goodness. So this is Brian Komen. We are county mates. We come from the great county of Nakuru. So for everyone who's coming from Nakuru County, hi, Nakuru people are here representing greatness. Yes. And so, Brian, you have such an incredible story and a story of resilience. My goodness, you have conquered so much, and you conquered a lot as a teen. And I want you to share with us that story. Tell us about your high school.
Yes, so I went to Stareb Boys Center, and I sat for my KCC in 2013. I got like a 74, like an A minus. But so back in Stareb, we didn't used to pay fees. Mm-hmm. So the only expense that we had was just the transport, from Nakuru to like the school, and that was only like 500 shillings. So at that time, my mother didn't have a problem, obviously. I mean, to cover that like little cost that came with it. But as soon as I got accepted to the campus at university, that's when I started to face challenges, because to join a campus, you might join it with job or the government, the program that you join the government if you have performed well. But still there are expenses that you need to meet. For example, like you have to set up your dorm or hostel and whatnot, and that cost proved too much for us, for my mother and I. And my family, I have both parents, but my father was not really like supportive in the whole process. So my mother was doing casual jobs. She will farm for people and get 200 shillings per day, or wash the houses for people and get a few shillings. And that money was obviously not enough to sustain even a student who is sponsored by the government. Like even with help, it still will not be enough. So we used to do fundraisings, but fundraising, yeah. And for some reason, we didn't have a lot of friends where we come from, because I think we were like kind of isolated family, just because I feel like, from my understanding of things, is at least you have to be able to sustain yourself as a family, to have friends. For some reason, that was a thing. And so my mother would go to work from 6 a.m. and come back at 7. So there was no room. She didn't have a lot of friends or known associates. And so we will do this fundraising, and we will have like 10 people show up. And as you can imagine, the money that we got from those drives are not high. So I remember the first time we got only 5,000, which was, like appreciated, but you can understand how that can be hard to finance a student going to join a campus for the first time, because you have to buy mattress, blanket, etc., so many things. And so we saved the money, and we decided to do another similar drive, a fundraising again. and they got something like 10,000.
Okay.
And this was in 2014
Mhm.
after the results had come out, and we were planning me to join campus a few months later because I did my thesis in 2013 and 2014. I'd already been accepted to Multimedia University.
And how much were you looking at in terms of university school fees?
I cannot remember the exact amount, but it was
But the
around.
10,000 was not enough, right?
Yeah, we were like shooting for around 30,000 because help does not come like immediately you apply. It takes a semester or so.
Yes.
So at first you need to have your own money just to go and settle things down.
Mhm.
So we were looking around 30,000 shillings.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this was around February 2014. I may be losing months, but I'm sure of the year it was in 2014. So I mean, I looked at the long-term view and saw this cannot be, sustained. We cannot be doing fundraising each time I want to go back to campus.
Mhm.
So I told my mother, I would like to go back to high school and just do the exam again, and then hopefully something will come up, or because
That's right.
yeah. So I went to a school called Marymount Academy in Lanet, Nakuru,
That's right.
and I remember going to the director or the person who owns the school, and I was telling her I want to repeat, and she was like, "Okay,
Mhm.
we only take people who have C plus and above to come and repeat." So we do, yeah, so just so you know, so after I told her I had like an A minus, and she was like, "What? And you're coming here back to repeat?" And then I said, "Yeah,"
Mhm.
and yeah, so uh, and she was quite surprised, but I explained to her that I just want to come back and see how I can improve. I did want to explain to people my problem because that's just not something that I like doing. So she accepted me to go to join a school, and that was in 2014 around June, July.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I sat for my KCC in 2014 again.
That's right.
Yeah, and this time I got on 81 and
Mhm.
A stand.
Mhm.
And then again, the same cycle continued. I applied to join campuses, universities,
Mhm.
and I got accepted to Egerton University. Yeah, Egerton,
Mhm.
actuarial science.
Mhm.
Yeah, and uh, nothing had changed at all. It was the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, my mom used to work in a quarry.
That's right.
There's a quarry something like 2 miles from where we live,
Mhm.
and this quarry they mine rock that are used to build houses.
Mhm.
And she told me that she was actually the only woman working there.
Mhm.
And that makes sense because it's a very physically intensive work.
Yes.
And she would leave home at 6 a.m. and come back at around 8. And she would walk back and forth because you can. It will not make sense to her to pay transport
Mhm.
because that will almost be half the money that she earned for that day.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I really felt sorry for myself and my mother because we were facing the same situation that we had faced the previous year.
That's right.
Yeah, so I I started applying for scholarship now, like abroad,
Mhm.
just abroad because I thought that was probably the only financial to the issue.
Mhm.
And
And I wanted you to tell us what was that moment like for you and your family? Because you've taken the national exam the first time. You've basically passed by every standard. You
yeah,
have been admitted to the university, to multimedia university,
yeah,
and you try to make sure that at least you raise the funds. You do not get the funds, and so you sit down and decide, I'm going to take the KCSE again. Very few people will be thinking like that. At that point, many people will say, maybe it's not supposed to work. Let me do something different.
Yeah.
What was that for you? What made you make that decision of taking the KCSE again? What was that? What was that hope? Was it hope that was within you? What was the driving force for you to take the KCSE again? I mean, you had already passed by every standard,
Yeah.
but why did you take the KCSE again?
I think it just boils down to the fact that I knew I had no other option, like as far as the future of my family is concerned.
Okay.
I was the only child from my family who at least was doing like relatively well in school.
Okay.
So just from that point of view,
Hmm.
I knew that if my family's future is to be changed, it's gonna come through me. So
Mhm.
it's just knowing that if I fail and accept that I failed, that means that I'm accepting that 10 years down the line, when my mother won't be able to do these labor intensive jobs, we will be going to bed hungry.
That's right.
So it's just knowing that there's no plan B, that things cannot get better from here. Like each year that was passing was the better year. Like what I thought was bad in 2013 looked much better in 2014
That's
because
right.
things were getting worse.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's just the act of, it's just the sense of responsibility, knowing that it's up to me to change things, and me giving up meant my mother uh, suffering more than she is already
That's
in
right.
later years.
Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, so I know I've started my story with high school, but in primary school, it was pretty much the same thing. It was my mother would, she actually used to cook in my school, in my primary school.
Mhm.
She would cook as a form of, but a trade of me studying and
Mhm.
being a cook. So we'd come from very far. And
Mhm.
I remember after I got my KCP, I got a 4 or 9, and she was very happy. So from primary school to Stere Boys Center,
Mm.
I could tell that she had hope in life because, I'm attending this one of the best high schools in Kenya. So in 2014, looking back, I was just telling myself, okay, so we have struggled for all these years. Is it just going to end here and now? And I thought, no,
Mm.
there has to be something. Yeah, I didn't have something to look up. Like I didn't have, like I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. So it
That's
was
right.
just walking with the faith that something could come up. There was nothing showing, but it was just the will to keep going. Because again,
And allow me to congratulate you because there are very few people that will be successful and decide to go back and start all over again. Very few people will take that challenge, that will take that initiative of trying it again. And today people will look for reasons and say, I mean, if this is the situation, then it wasn't meant to be. But I appreciate the fact that you saw the way your mom was working hard and you chose to be the person that gives her hope in that situation. But tell us about your experience at Sarah Boys Center.
yeah. So our Cerebral Center was one of the life-changing experiences. In Sare, basically we have two kind of students. We have those who pay fees and those who don't pay anything. And those who pay fees are from you know rich homes. Like you can tell the difference based on what shoes you wear. Like life was very obvious. Like you could tell where this person comes from, where this person comes from, just
That's
based on a lot of things. But the school was very helpful in that, back in primary school, I used to look at my teachers and say, you know what, I wish I could be like him or her.
right.
And my family used to live in a mud house.
Yes.
So just knowing that that teacher lives in that brick house at that point, at that time, that looked like a big deal. So going to Railway Center kind of opened my eyes to, you know what,
Mm.
there's more to life than living in a brick plot or rented houses, because you will have friends whose parents come every weekend with Range Rovers, and then you ask, okay, your father's what? And then you say, oh, my father's a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer, an accountant. So I got exposed to all these different professions that at first I knew they existed, but it's one thing knowing that a doctor is a highly valued person. Is a whole different thing seeing them being able to provide for their family, and basically their children living a very uh, nice life, if you will. Yeah, so Stereoboys was a period where I was able to expand my view of what is possible.
Thank you. And you said something that caught my attention, that when you were in Stereo Boys Center, you could tell the kids who are coming from wealthy homes and definitely those who were coming from families that were financially disenfranchised.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of peer pressure in high schools. We see a lot of kids wanting to be like others, and they're getting influenced, and they fall into substance abuse because they're trying to stay up with the Joneses. How did you manage that? Because for you, and from what you're saying, is that when you would ask this kid, how come you're able to afford this? What made you wealthy? And they say, oh, my dad is a doctor, and then made you admire that. How come you did not fall into peer pressure and you didn't get into wayward behavior?
Well, I mean, in high school, there's in Rebel Center, there was no most people were disciplined, so there was no much temptation to do something different. So yeah, so that was that maintaining focus was not a hard thing.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's also, yeah, Rebel Center as a very intelligent student, so you don't want to be number 200 and you used to be number one in your primary school. So that part was not hard. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say the hard part was just seeing that difference every day, where I have this kind of shoes, another person has this other type of shoes. Like when you're still young in high school, those things really affect someone. Yeah, or just during on okay, we didn't used to have a day where parents would come and visit. They could come at any day, mostly on weekends. So on weekends, just being able to carry your little backpack and walk towards the study hall while you pass through crowds of parents seated in their cars with their children eating, that was quite an experience. Like, you'd be like, yeah, I'm living a different life here.
And so you stay in Starehe for 4 years complete, and then now you get home, and there's that challenge for you, and can't raise the money. Second time KCSE, you can't raise the money.
Yeah.
And so you start a journey of thinking, hey, maybe there's an opportunity that I haven't looked at. And so you start thinking about studying abroad.
Yeah.
Tell us about that part of studying abroad.
Yeah, so I obviously at that point I had heard about people going to the US, but that was from my high schooling. Insta Rebels, you will hear so and so has joined this college in New York. This one was going to Princeton. What? So I knew that kind of chances existed, but it just seemed out of reach. It's one of those things where it exists, but you think you just can't get there. Like, that's too high a place to aim. So what I did at first, I remember asking my mother for 2,000 shillings. She was like, "What do you want to do with this?" And then I told her I want to go to the city to the city to just walk around different places and ask for scholarship. So can you hear me, Faith?
I can hear you.
All right, great. Yeah. So I went to Nairobi, and I would search for directions to, let's say, the embassy of Japan, because I knew some embassies offered the government sponsored scholarships. Yeah, so the first one I went was the Japanese embassy, I remember. And yeah, they looked at my papers and they were like, yeah, you've passed the requisite requirement for KCSE. And then yeah, and then a few weeks later, they invited me to take a test. It was a physics and math test. I don't know how I performed, but it obviously not well because I didn't get called back. So yeah, so that went away. And then I tried other embassies, Korean. Yeah, those are the two that had a system in place. And that time was very hopeful for me because at least I could say I was getting responses. But then after those two were over, I came back and there was nothing else because I was like, okay, I have tried my best now. There's nothing. I don't know what to do. And
That's
this was
right.
and this was in 2015. Yeah, this was in late 2015. And so I just came back home after that little adventure in the city, Nairobi, trying to find something.
That's
And
right.
then I came back home, and now this was this looks like the real end of the road because I mean, like even for me, the idea of doing KCC at time just seemed now insane, and I could not do that again. And plus, the government also doesn't really allow anyone to do KCC for the that time, and I also didn't have the strength because I had done it before and nothing had changed, and there was no foreseeable change coming. That if I did it again, things would be better. So I started teaching in schools as an trained teacher, and this time around we didn't even bother to do fundraisings because you know doing the same thing over and over again is not the definition of a genius. So it just thought, yeah, this is not going to happen. So, but back in my head, I was thinking I could just become a small scale chicken farmer. I know that was for me to reach that point. I I I I was really hopeless. It was just like nothing will happen for months. So, but I still had the urge to succeed, and I told myself if if by 2017 or 18 nothing will have come at all, I would just accept that I will have to find a different route to success.
That's right.
Yeah, and so I was teaching as local high schools,
Mhm.
and then
How much were you earning at the high schools that you were teaching? And
uh,
what were you teaching?
I made different progress in terms of earning. By the time I was earning 2,000, and then I had another place pays 2,500, and then I moved. So, but at, but at my peak, I was making 5,000. That was the highlight of my teaching career.
Yes.
So, oh, I was teaching math. Yeah, I was teaching math because that was what came easy to me. I didn't have to, you know, prepare for math class because it's just area triangles and whatnot. And then I was also teaching biology.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I was teaching, and then I live in a place called Capcures. You have been there, fairly, right?
Yes. Yes. I've been
Imagine.
to.
Yeah. So that's a pretty rural area, part of Nakuru County. So it looks like a countryside. It's one of those places if someone uh, did well in KCSE, you will hear the entire community will hear. There was this girl who had sat for KCSE in 2014, like me,
Mm.
and she also had an A, and she had heard of your program, the education USA program, and she had joined your program. I think she joined in 2014. No, in 2015. Yes, so and I think she didn't get accepted to any college.
Mhm.
So I heard I heard from a friend who was also in the program about how if you're done KCC in 2014, you will have joined in 2015. But
That's right.
this was 2016, so I was like, okay, that ship already sailed. But then I
Yes.
asked myself,
Now you've taken your KCC in 2014. You've
yeah,
taken you already have two gap
yeah,
years, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
So for those who were done in 2014, you could have joined in 2015, but this was 2016, so I was not qualified to join by any means.
That's
But
right.
then I asked myself, there's nothing to lose. Just let me just go and try. So I went to the Nakuru to the Nakuru Center for Education USA in the library, Nakuru library.
Mhm.
Um, the person was there, Angela, who was very nice. I explained to her the my problems basically, and she told me, yeah, I wish you had come last year. We could have really helped you.
I know,
Uh,
and you're thinking that is not what I want to hear.
yeah,
Because
those are one of those like, oh, I just missed something. I don't know where it was, but I wish I'd taken this. I wish I'd out of this opportunity.
and that is the time you wish that you had a time machine so that you
Yeah,
can go back to last year.
yeah. And that time I was washing cars in Nakuru. There's a place called KFA around about that we wash cars. So I
Mhm.
remember when I was moving from the car wash, I remember it was around like 12. I had just finished washing cars in the morning. I was like, okay, instead of taking a lunch break, let me just run to the library and see what happens. So I talked to her, to Angela, who was very nice. But I understandably, like understood her hands were tied because every year there are new people who are qualified to join the program.
That's right.
But she told me, you know what, we're going to have fair who's going to come here she said like a month from now. And she was like, yeah, Brian, I don't want to raise your hopes because I remember she said Fed was very strict on the requirements. Yeah, and she said I will just try and introduce you to her and see how she says it. If it's possible, we will have tried our best. So I said okay. So that 1 month wait was really long because every day I was like, okay, today's Tuesday, Wednesday,
Oh my
and
goodness. So you were literally counting those days in that month.
well, I mean, just put yourself in my shoes. You're washing cars every day, and there's this golden chance that could possibly come in a month. So yeah, that
Right.
was a big deal. It was
And
a
how
really
much
big
were
deal.
you earning from washing cars? How much was it per car? How
Well,
much did they pay you?
the was not per car. It was I was working in a showroom where they sell second-hand cars.
Okay.
So the owner was paying me per month because I mean I believe if he paid me per car that would have been much better. But yeah, so I was making 4,000 in a month.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, that was also a tough moment because you can imagine I'm making 4,000 and I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I need this, I need to save as much as I can.
That's right. For
So
university.
yeah, that means there were a lot of lunches that I missed. I
That's
believe almost, yeah, there were only a few times where I thought I needed to eat something for lunch because this was in town, and in town it's expensive
that's right.
because you're going to eat in the same place as people who actually do real job. So yeah, so I could not imagine paying 50 shillings for lunch.
Mhm.
Yeah, and 50 shillings is probably one. It, at that time, that was 1 kg of unga of ugal, which will be able to feed my family. So it just didn't make a lot of sense from a financial point of view.
And
Anyway,
how old were you at this time? You were doing a lot of math. How old were you at this time?
Well, it's not a lot of math. It's 2015, 2016. That will be 20 years.
20
Yeah.
years. You're 20 years, but you're very wise at 20 because you had a vision. You wanted to go to university. You wanted to get there. And you had said, I'm not going to take this money to eat it for lunch because I want to save it. And I also like the way you think. And you're thinking that for this money that I could spend to feed myself for lunch is money that I can use to feed my family. And kudos to you, because at 20, many people are not thinking like that. Congratulations to you. And so back to your countdown for the month, the 1 month that Angela has given you.
Yeah. So I remember, and I remember. Yeah. So I didn't know this, but for for the day you are to come, there was an exam, an SAT exam, which was supposed to be a trial for those who have the aptitude to do the program. So I remember it was around 9 a.m. if I'm not wrong, because time really meant things back in the days. Well, it still means something today. I still remember. So I remember I did go to the washroom that day, to the car wash that day.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I figured out, okay, I might lose this job, but yeah, there's more at stake here.
That's
So I
right.
remember coming to the library and just, and in the American corner there were around 30 students. I don't know if you recall, and
Yes,
I was surprised because like, okay, I thought it was just gonna be me and Faith talking because I thought that would give me a better chance. But I was like, okay, there are a lot of students here who I'm sure some of them have even a better score compared to the score that I had a few years ago.
Mhm.
And yeah, I remember you're sitting next to the computer with you had some interns from Nairobi
Mhm.
with Apple also.
Yes.
Yeah, and I showed up and credit to Angela because it looked like she'd already told you something about me.
Yes. So when I walked in and she told me, oh, there's this young man who's taken the KCSE twice, wants
Yeah,
to go in the US, and he's tried even to raise money for the SAT. Right. So she had told me your story, and so I was looking forward to meeting you. And she had told
yeah,
me, oh, and he's been waiting to see you. So I said, all right, when he comes, let me know.
yeah. So I remember, yeah, I saw you, and I was so I was so intimidated because yeah, I was so intimidated by you uh, those times very much. So I remember I showed up and then I was like, hey, my name is Brian. And then you're like, oh, you're Brian. And then I was like, okay, cool. At least you've heard something about me. So that made my job a lot easier.
That's right.
And yeah, yeah. So that was quite a moment. And I remember, yeah, you didn't even need much convincing. You just told me, okay, now take the test. And I felt really happy because I knew at least I had a chance to kind of prove myself
That's right.
because at that time I was showing up, there was no reason for you to give me a chance because, like in terms of scores, the students who were there already had A's, so there was no really something that I could say, okay, this makes me stand out. You could as well have said, okay, we are full, sorry, go back, because for the students who had even started their KSSC in 2015, you're not going to take the whole lot because you had very few like opportunities. You had like 5 or 6,
Right.
and we had 40 students there. So just the fact that I'd sat my KCSE 2 years before, that was enough to say, okay, you're not qualified. Because even for those who have fulfilled all the qualifications, their some will have to go home. Yeah, so I'm really thankful because you took a chance in me, and yeah, not many people would. I had been to a lot of places before that, and yeah, there's some places where I mean, you like even before you tell your story, no one wants to hear your story. Yeah, I remember. I mean, I don't want to mention names, but there are a lot of organizations in Kenya, like banks, that offer this kind of scholarships, and there no one will even give you a second. They'll just say, okay, oh, you're late. People are applying 1 week ago. No one will take a time to listen to you, or you'll like even show up like on the day that you're supposed to apply, and you're told, okay, it's filled already. And I'm not you know naive. I understand how things happen in most places in Kenya is where you have to know someone. So most of these local organizations, banks that offer aid to students to go to the US to study,
Right.
the manager of that local branch knows someone. They have a family member. They have a family friend. So even before they open the applications, they have already filled with people that they have pre-selected.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I think that makes it harder for everyone else who doesn't know somebody. And life is not wired like that. And for me, it's always very important that we leave opportunities open for everyone who qualifies. It
yeah,
doesn't have people that I know, it doesn't have to be from my circles. That way we open up the opportunity for everyone and that everyone can come into that program and participate. But something also that stood out for me concerning you is your resilience. The fact that you had taken the national exam twice, you hadn't given up, you were trying your level best, not just to take care of yourself as a teenager. You're not just taking care of yourself and thinking about yourself, but you're thinking about how you're going to be a blessing to your family and provide for your family. And so when I was told this story, for me, it stood out for me because I had also gone through something similar to that. And I said, I'm going to give, I don't know who Brian is, but I'm going to give Brian this opportunity to prove himself.
yeah.
And I remember you walking in and taking that test and you outshone everyone. And I was like, what?
Mm.
I mean, that's not what you were doing. You didn't take this month to prepare for the SAT test, but
Mm.
you just came from working somewhere and you came and took the test and you passed.
Yeah. It's just honestly, it's luck, but it's God, because yeah, yeah, that's just God, because passing an SAT exam or even doing well, it's more than what you know, it's how you are in that particular day, because it's a very fast-paced exam. So yeah, so that was quite a. I remember when I was taking the exam, I knew this was my only shot,
Uh-huh.
because you can imagine from 2014 when I did my when I did my KCSE, there had never been such a chance that is, well, I don't want to say a direct chance to success, but like that was that was a very defined linear path, because it was okay, if you do well in your exam, if you write your SS well, your
Mm.
chances are gonna be higher. Like it was based on merit. Like the harder you work, the likelier you are to succeed. Yeah, and I didn't have that. I did have. I had not had such a chance before, where your hard work directly proportional to your likelihood of success.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk to any person who's watching us and they don't have they've tried all that they know in life to be successful, and they've reached to this place and they're thinking, oh my god, it might never work. What do you have to tell that person who has tried everything and they all they can see in front of them is impossibilities? What do you have to say to them?
Oh. Um. Yeah. Um. I never let it. Okay. I, I'm trying to think of a child in a family that's not struggling, because I would say for kids who are in a family that is struggling,
Mm.
is just picture your parent 20 years older than they are right now,
That's right.
and you want to see them going to bed hungry. Like you have to have a higher purpose, a purpose higher than you, because some people are driven by the will to succeed, and that
That's
is good for those who it works for. But
right.
Um, if you're only working for yourself, if you're only looking for your own success, you can easily give up because you kind of understand your situation. It's easy to rationalize and say, okay, I have tried my best.
Hmm.
Let me lower my expectations. But if you're doing it for other people who are so close to you, if you're if you're yeah, if you're doing it for someone else or a group of people, it's hard for you to give up because you don't want to let them down. You most people have no problem letting themselves down because they have nothing to prove to themselves. But
That is very powerful.
if you're doing it for someone else, if you have a higher purpose, and
Hmm.
that higher purpose is you're doing it for someone else, like I don't want this person to suffer. That for me was an extra drive,
Mhm.
and then just knowing that life is hard either way. Life is hard if you work hard. Life is hard if you don't work hard. So
So
we're
I
already working in the fire. Yeah,
exactly, exactly. And you know the reason why I laugh at that is because people think that, and I'm not saying this to discourage people in life, but life will always have its own challenges. And there are
yeah,
gonna be challenges whether you are working hard or if you're not working hard, there's gonna be challenges. And I encourage people, regardless, just work hard, keep working, don't give up, keep working, because life will always bring a set of challenges. Think about COVID. COVID just came and just dropped a bombshell on everyone. Those who were working hard, those who weren't working hard. But regardless of challenges in life, work hard.
yeah.
And I
Um,
wanted to hold that thought because now you get into the program and now you have to really work hard for you to get admitted to university.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, one good thing about the program was I didn't have to buy any study materials
That's right.
because the SAT books are they are very expensive, and yeah, I there was no way someone like me will be able to afford it.
Mhm.
So I remember, yeah, I remember those time we only had two books in the Nakuru library, and then after I had finished studying those two books, I talked to Angela, and she was just like, "Okay, I will tell Faith." Yeah, we I remember whenever we had any problem, Faith was just the magic word. Because we would think, and well, I mean, yeah, understandably so because at that point and so I remember, yeah. So we told her about our problem. Told her to Angela. I I remember I telling her I have finished studying these two books, and now I don't know how to do nothing for the next few months. And she
Mhm.
talked to you, and I remember there was a package that came to the American corner. It was this size, and there was more than just books. We had test papers, and that was enough to last, at least from my perspective, was enough to last me for that time period between when I'd finished or completed studying these two books. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the assistance that I got from the program was more than I could hope for. It was more than I thought I would. And then yeah, you also will send interns. These are students who have been accepted already, and that was a real motivation.
Yes, and I'm always grateful to the US Embassy in Nairobi for making it possible for me to be of assistance to you. Every time I will receive requests from across the country and I take them to my supervisor, they were always willing to assist. So I'm always grateful to the US
Yeah,
Embassy for making it possible for
yeah,
me to help others and to reach out to you.
yeah,
And I can see our time is moving pretty fast, but I want us now to think about now you're in the program, and my goodness, something else that stands out for me concerning you is that once you got into the program, you weren't thinking about your own success because people are like, oh my God, I've gotten this opportunity. I'm just going to work hard and make sure that I get in. but you got into the program and you became a source of help to everyone that was struggling with math. You were such a math whiz. I remember just reading SAT questions and you will just quickly give me answers like that. And I was like, who is this young man? Like how do you just break down math like that? And not only will you give me the answer, you will tell me this is the topic. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what the topic was, but you will like quickly just break it down and help everyone. And Brian, that's something that is very special, that in our world today where everyone is just thinking about themselves and how they can succeed as individuals, that you stop and say, I am good at this and I'm going to help everyone else to rise with me. And you're not thinking, oh, they're going to be competition for me. You are just looking at them and saying, if we can succeed together, I am here to help you succeed. And that is something that you do, and you do very well, and just keep doing it because you are a blessing to your generation. Tell us about now you're in the program, you're choosing schools, and tell us the schools that you applied to. Me and you, by the way, we still have beef concerning but we'll sort it out. But go ahead. Which schools did you apply to?
Yeah, so I applied to Hamilton and the MIT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so okay, so there's another story. There's another story I want to tell. Much of a story.
Okay.
So I remember, so the cities were in Nairobi, obviously, and I remember you will host us in a hotel, which was very close to the SAT center. And for someone like me who didn't have any relative in Nairobi, that was very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, and I later understood that that was coming from your pocket, like this was outside the education ministry program, because I don't think they covered boarding, or not a boarding, like lodging cost for people who are coming from far. Yeah, I really appreciated that, because again, you are an employee of the U.S. The embassy. You didn't have to get money from your own pocket. Yeah, so that was a really big deal. And
Brian, I had come to Nakuru and I had seen what you were capable of doing. And again, I could see the limitations that everyone had financially. And I say to myself, if giving my resources, getting into my pocket and giving to you, and that can make you successful, then I'm going to do that. If I'm going to, take care of your personal needs so that you can be successful tomorrow, and so that you can be a blessing to your family tomorrow, I was going to do that. And that is exactly what you are doing today, because you are a blessing to somebody else. And for everyone who is watching, regardless of how much need you have, always ask yourself, if I spared this little to give to someone else and make their lives better, will I hold on to it? Just give. Let us be givers. Let us be people who make other people's lives better. And they don't have to give you back. I mean, there was nothing that Brian was going to give me at that time. No. So the motivation is not that I'm going to get something back, but the motivation is the sacrifices that I make from my pocket are going to make somebody else's life better. So whoever it is that you can be a blessing to, be a blessing.
And then just to that point too, you may be in a place in your life where you are in a much better place than someone else, and you might not think that what you're doing is a big deal to someone else, but it could be a big deal to someone else. So whatever assistance you could offer, you might think is insignificant, but it might be it might not mean much to you, but for someone else that could be something that changes their life. Yeah, because back to that point about hosting me in the city in Nairobi. If I had to travel from Nakuru at 5 a.m. so that I can be in the exam room at 9 a.m., I don't think I could have done well in the exam, regardless of what I know or what I studied, because that's a very fast-paced exam, and if you're fatigued, it could be 5 questions that will make you not get accepted to the school of your choice. It's the difference between getting a good score and getting a low score is very few questions. So those little things that seemed little really helped to draw the bigger picture and make the whole thing successful. So I really appreciate your detail to like your attention to the small matters that might not look big, but they are very pivotal to the whole journey that that a person might be involved in.
You're very welcome. And so you choose Hamilton
And
and MIT.
yeah.
What was that? What was that like? You waiting for the decisions to come?
So okay, and I know you had told me I should have gone to the school to MIT, but this is the thing. So I applied for the early decision to the first college, to Hamilton College, early decision, which was to come out in December.
Mhm.
So, and for the MIT, they deferred me to the regular action, which was to come out next year around March, the following year around March. So after I got accepted to Hamilton College, at that time I was like, yeah, it's over. Like I don't wanna do it. At that time I was fatigued by all those years. I was like, yeah, I will just go with this one.
Was it
Anything
the
else?
theory of a bird in hand is what to in the bush?
Yeah, because I mean, and plus the Hamilton College is one of the best like liberal arts college
That's
in
right.
New York. Well, it's not MIT, but it's one of the best, and I thought I could succeed once I'm in the US. I don't think the college that I go to will be a big factor in my success like I'm in the US.
Mhm.
I work hard. I should be able to get to where I want. Yeah. So that's how I made my decision. I was like, yeah, let me now just start preparing for the next journey. I don't wanna turn
Miss out
down.
on a good opportunity.
Yeah, and it turned out well. There's nothing that I look back and say, oh, I wish I had gone to this much bigger school. When I got
Mhm.
accepted to MIT, I remember I didn't even look at the. I knew the date they were gonna announce, but I at that time I was pretty much not stressed with that kind of thing. So it's only a few days later when I thought, oh, I had applied here, and there's an email from MIT asking me this is the next step, and I looked and I was like, oh, I've been accepted.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
it's
remember that day like yesterday when your admission from MIT came through.
yeah,
You were the only person actually that year that got admitted into MIT. And MIT is not an easy school to get admitted to.
yeah. It felt strange turning down MIT.
I know.
It felt me like if you told me a year later I'll be turning down like MIT, I'll be like, no, not in this world, not in this life, maybe the next. But
I
so
know. I know.
that
And let
was
me just talk to everyone who's here. And maybe you don't understand what it means to get into MIT. MIT is MIT. MIT is a university in its own caliber. It's a university in its own world. It's one of the best universities in the world. And I want you to think about this. Brian had taken national exam twice, couldn't get into local universities in Kenya twice, but now Brian has received admissions from Hamilton College in New York and has admission from MIT, the major MIT. And he turned down MIT. I remember that day. I was like, what? What? So me and Brian have a disagreement over the years concerning him not going to MIT, but he excelled in whatever he was doing. And this is to tell you, just because you've tried something once or twice and it hasn't worked, it is not the end of your life. Hold on, just hold on to that vision. And as Brian is telling us, you need to live for a vision and a purpose above yourself, because many people don't mind disappointing themselves. But if you have a higher purpose, if you have a bigger reason why you want to live, let me tell you, you will find yourself not giving up. And so, Brian, this is you. You've struggled to wash cars, do small jobs, earn $20 in a month teaching. And so here you have Hamilton College, and you're about to go to the US. What is that moment When you get accepted and you tell your mom, what was that moment for your family?
Oh wow. Hamilton College. I remember the acceptance was coming around 2 a.m. and there was no way I could sleep.
Yes.
That was probably the longest night of my life. I remember where every second was I could feel every second, and yeah, that was. I mean, I've never like even after going to Hamilton College and getting my first job offer, I don't
Mhm.
think there's gonna be any moment in my life that would compare to those. I'll say like 3 hours before the accept the college decision came out. That
Mhm.
was the most I can't even describe. I can't say it's excitement or fear. It was just everything mixed. Like I was just laying in bed. I could not even sleep for a second.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, I slept a little. I remember when I was just sitting there waiting for it, and then I slept, and then I woke up, and it was 30 minutes after it had been released. And I was like, okay, the dice cast already. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, that was quite a moment. That was quite a time of my life. Those 4 hours or 3 hours were the most nerve wracking of my life. And I remember I woke up my mother the second I found out.
Oh wow, at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I remember I banged the door and I was like, Mom, I've been accepted. And she couldn't believe. I mean, I feel like she thought there is something else that I will need to do.
Yes.
I've been accepted. Like, is there another exam you have to do? Like, I feel like we had been used to disappointment,
Exams.
a point whereby
Oh no.
there had to be something else. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it took time for her to actually for it to sink that yeah, this is it. This could be the last time that I'm having, you know, a major struggle because
Mm,
struggles will always come, but like there's levels to struggles.
that's right.
Some will change your life forever, and some will, make you better or something else. But there are some pivotal moments in people's lives,
Mm,
and this was probably the most important turn point hitting around in my life. I don't think even right now. I mean, I am progressing in my career, but in no way will if I even get to the next level in my career or to a different farm, it doesn't matter how big the farm is.
mm.
That day that I got exposed to Hamilton College will always remain as the biggest uh, change in my life.
Incredible, incredible, incredible. And for everyone who is wondering when their big break is going to come, guess what? It's on its way. Your best days are not behind you, they are ahead.
Yeah,
Hang on, hold on. So
yeah,
you tell your mom there's nothing else that you have to do because, I mean, at this point, you're so used to disappointments and you're telling her, this is it. There's nothing else that I have to do, right?
yeah. And I remember, so when she once got accepted, there's a small deposit that you have to make. So it was something like $20.
That's right.
And I remember telling her, and she was like, "Okay, we're gonna do a fundraising." And then I was like, "No." I talked to the college and I was like, "Yeah, it might be hard for me to make this amount." And they were like, "Yeah, it's fine. This amount is just to as a sign of commitment." And I thought, "Oh, I don't need like I will come like I feel like maybe some students will get accepted and then they will change their mind." But I was like, "Yeah,
Mm.
no other route for me. Like this is what I'm gonna come." Yeah, so
And big up to Hamilton College. You picked the best and you changed his life. Thank you, Hamilton
yeah,
College.
it was a great college. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
back to what I was saying about those who are struggling. Like most people will have no trouble working hard if they can see the end.
That's
Like
right.
if struggling was a journey, and like I'm at point A, I need to get to point B, and point B is where success is, and this is the path to point B. Most people will be reasonably motivated to work, but it's when you cannot see the end
Mm.
really tests your character because you are not telling yourself that okay things will change next week. No, there is no you cannot see the end. This struggle could go on for the rest of your life. So at that point where you cannot see the end, are you still gonna keep doing the right thing? And I feel like for most people, we know what the right thing is. I if you if you experience in life enough, you know what you need to do. It's doing it. It's what is where the problem comes in, and having the energy to continue doing it even when the reward is not certain or it's not obvious or you can't see it. Because at no point did I ever think you existed, like faith existed. At no point did I ever knew you existed. If I knew those someone called faith who will help me 2016, I will not I will have no problem working hard knowing that okay, 2016 is when the life changes. But there was no such I had no I didn't have that foresight. And even right now, when I was in college, not right now, when I was in college, that mindset helped me a lot because when you're applying for jobs, also, you don't know which job will give you an interview. So you just have to keep working with the blind faith that this could be it. If it's not it, this could be it. It's always the next one. So just keep working until something good happens. And that something good is not always visible. It could be anything, and it could come any day. So the spirit to keep on going even when it's not obvious where your journey ends. It's something very
Absolutely. And I hope that everyone who's watching this is getting encouraged and they're getting challenged to know that regardless of where you are at in life, there's going to be a big break that's coming your way. But you need to have that, as Brian calls it, blind faith, just to believe that something good is going to happen, just hold onto that hope and not, die in the moment, believing that something else is going to come and it's going to turn out right. So Brian, tell us about now your journey to the States. It's time, the summer is over and it's time for you to come to the United States. Tell us, what was that experience for you when you were coming to Nairobi, then from Nairobi to school? What was that moment? What was that experience for you as we wrap up?
To be honest, from the time I got accepted to Hamilton College to the time I flew, I feel like things are moving so fast. I could not really experience every second of it. Yeah, so it was it was excitement, and then it turned out to okay, anxiety. Like okay, so I've never even boarded an airplane. What's the process? Figuring out all those things, and then getting the visa, and getting the visa. Again, credit to you and the U.S. Embassy because that was a very smooth process. It was a day or two. I remember hearing from people who had been accepted and they couldn't get the visa, but for us, you made it really a straightforward process. Yeah, and coming to Hamilton College, it was a whole different experience. It's people watching movies what college looks like, but it's different for so yeah. But just having gone through what I had gone through in Kenya made me easily to not to easily adapt, but to be able to kind of fit in and work towards success and not to get bogged down by little challenges because if you're going to a different culture, you're gonna have some challenges.
That's right.
Yeah, but they were nothing compared to what I've been through. So I didn't spend time telling myself, "Oh, how, like these are a different culture now." I mean, those were little things. Yeah. So yeah, it's just yeah, don't just once God has given you what you want or what you wanted, learn to appreciate that and not take a microscope and start now looking for smaller challenges to complain about or to get stuck with, just to maintain focus.
I love that. When God blesses you, do not look for a microscope and start looking for problems. Appreciate that moment and just enjoy the blessing. Enjoy that blessing. Don't start complaining about
Yeah.
what God blessed you with. And yet it was a big prayer for you. And then all of a sudden you have all these complaints.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you, Brian.
Thank
You
you.
left Hamilton, you aced Hamilton, you graduated with a very high GPA. I mean, congratulations to you. You are a very focused young man, and you are such an inspiration to everyone who is watching and everyone who's going to watch this in the future. And to your generation, you stand out. You really do stand out. And so, looking at your life just from your home in Nakuru, from everything that you have gone through, and to now where you are at, just tell us a bit about your job.
Oh, so I'm an actuary. So what we do is we predict risk. That's the short of it. I work for Allianz, which is probably the largest insurance firm in the world.
Right.
So my job is to look at data in different lines of businesses, and then to use that data to predict losses. So we insure big risk, what's called big risk, like corporations, airlines. So for for instance, we have an aviation line of business. So my work is to look at the losses that the aviation like industry has had in the past, let's say 20 years, and then use that to project maybe the next year. And then that projection is used by my firm to decide how much money to set aside in order to cover those losses.
Incredible. Incredible. What a journey, what a story. Tell us, how is your family now? Are they happy with where you are at?
Yeah, I mean, it's I remember when I was a sophomore, I was working in the gym
Mhm.
in my college fitness center,
Mhm.
and I figured out a way of sending money home. And
Wow.
I was telling my mother, you don't have to work in the restaurant because she worked in a restaurant in Nakuru town. I was
Yes.
like, no, how much are they paying you? 10,000? I think I can cover that. I can double that.
Mhm.
At that point, 10,000 was a big deal. Well, yeah, I'm sure it still is for them.
Mhm.
But just being able to tell my mother that you don't have to work to go to work, that was one of the best feelings of my life. And I went back in 2019, and you know, even the vibe in my home had changed. Like people, like my brothers were no longer, you know, looking hungry and
Oh,
gloomy. One thing, if you come from a poor background,
mhm.
you're always sad because there's usually something going on. So yeah, seeing that sadness gone, and
Mm.
oh yeah, my mother even had time to make friends. That's something that I hadn't noticed in a while. But after coming to the US and just learning, I took a class in psychology, so just learning things, I realized, oh, it's really important to have friends. And if you're in a survival mindset all the time, it's hard to make friends. So just coming back and seeing my mother has her friends at home,
Mhm.
that was really good because she was now at least living a normal life where
Mhm.
she didn't have to work 6 days a week, 12 days a day, 12 like hours a day. So that's got a big deal. And then I got a job, thankfully, before I graduated. I got a job offer in June
Mhm.
to be an actuary at Allianz in Chicago. And then I started working in July. Yeah, and let's just say nothing. Let's just say we will never go back to where we were.
You will never, and I agree with you that you will never go back to where you were. And I know that, in fact, greater opportunities lie ahead of you because you are somebody who has given so much to make sure that the lives of your family definitely are improved at all scales. And I love what you said that it was a joy for you to go back home and look at your brothers and they did not look hungry. Credit to you, credit to you, credit to you. Many people, again, and I think this is sometimes human nature. When people are successful, they never remember their brothers. They're just so happy to be successful alone. and they don't care whether their parents or their brothers or sisters are, are faring unwell. But credit to you and congratulations. And just share, your parting shot for, every teen that is watching you across the world, every young person that is watching you across the world. Yours is a struggle that started at 18 years. As an 18-year-old, you had already gone through so much stress, through so much struggle, through so much hardship. And here you are today, talking to the world and telling them that, hey, guess what? I made it. I went, I didn't run away from my challenges. You literally faced your challenges head on, and here you are today with an incredible story. So what's your parting shots to every teenager, every young person that's watching you?
Yeah, I love at least I will say at least two things. The first one is the generic saying that if you're in hell, keep walking. Because if you're in hell, literally hell, it will not make sense to sit down because you're burning already. So keep walking. That ought to come very that ought to be very intuitive. Like keep walking because you're already suffering. It doesn't make sense to sit down.
That's right.
Just, and then secondly is I believe something I read from Paulo Coelho. He said, if you're working towards something, the universe conspires to help you, and the universe conspires to help you. That could mean God to some people, whatever your religion is. The universe conspires to help you, and the way I saw that happen is me hearing about the Education USA program. I just heard it in a random conversation, and I believe that was a universe conspiring to help me. I was in the right place at the right time that I heard about it, and then you were very helpful. So those little things that no one could have planned. I believe in a higher power, and for me, that's God. So for different people, different powers, but it's good to have a higher power to, you know, to believe in, because some things are not logically possible, but they just happen.
Thank you very much. Indeed, if you are in hell, keep walking. If you're in a bad place, keep walking. Don't die in a bad place. If you just keep walking, you're going to walk to a better day, to a better place. And surely, that if you are working towards something, everything around you conspires to make sure that you are successful. Thank you so much, Brian, for sharing your story, and for every person from Nakuru County. Yay, we made it. Here we are. And we know that you are going to make it. And for everyone who took the time to watch this program, we are very grateful that you could join us. We hope that you get inspiration. Share this. Somebody could be somewhere they're about to give up, and this is what they need to hear. This is not a motivational book. This is a life story of Brian Komen, and see what God has done with him. Your life will also change. So thank you very much, Brian. It's been a pleasure. And I know that your next 5 years are going to be mind-blowing. So we hope to have this conversation again in 5 years and see where you are at and what your life is like. Thank you very much. And good evening to everyone in Africa, and good afternoon to everyone in the United States. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.